assured. Breakfast will never be better than this, than breakfast with my risen Lord. After an evening of fishing gone bad, Peter and crew felt dismayed. Then seeing a man on the shore up ahead changed everything.
Good morning and welcome to our video blog, Come Have Breakfast. This is Pastor Colson, and today I'm joined with David Cooper, who's the Executive Director of Brisben Center. And for those of you who don't know, Brisben Center is one of our partner missions. Brisben provides essential shelter and services for at-risk homeless men, women, and children. So welcome, David. It's great to have you with us this morning.
I'm delighted to be here. Thank you very much, Pastor Colson, Adam, for welcoming me, and greetings to Lake of the Woods Church.
Well, David, could you take a minute and just tell us a little bit more about Brisben Center? I know many are involved with the mission there, but I'd like, for those who maybe aren't as familiar, can you tell us a little bit about what goes on at Brisben Center?
Sure. Let me start off by saying that the Brisben Center began with the vision of a small frame, large-hearted woman that was an Episcopalian at St. George's Episcopal Church in Fredericksburg. And 32 years ago, she had the vision for this center. It is currently an 80-bed homeless shelter. We provide space and supportive services for 80 people totally, and that includes 20 single females, 28 single males, and 32 beds in 8 family units. We operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We provide over 60% of all the emergency shelter services in the entire planning district. That's 4 counties and 1 city. Last year, we served 550 individuals. Of those, about 90 were children, 44 were military veterans. And our mission includes stabilizing folks and helping them to become equipped to be successful long-term. The building is a 16,000 square foot building, and we have a budget of about a little over $1 million a year this year. Last but not least, about 38% of our budget comes from governmental resources. The remainder we have to fundraise for, and that's an awesome challenge in these days.
A lot of people, when they think of homelessness, they think of homeless men and homeless women. We often don't think of children as being homeless. How many children do you currently have right now at the Brisben Center?
Sure, we have 14 children currently, and so I'll say more about that in just a moment. But in the shelter, we have divided our populations to create some safe social distancing. And so we have currently 14 children total, and we have a grand total of about 46 total people, including those 14 children.
Wow. Wow. How long have you been with Brisben Center?
I've been here for about 2.5 years now. I started in January 2018, and I came on board at a real crucial time in the organization's history and development. We were at a place where public policy was impacting the center, and I think I brought some of that entrepreneurial spirit in working with all of our constituencies to develop some new mission statements and new mission objectives and goals.
What did you do before you came to Brisben?
I'll try to abbreviate that. It's been a long history. So I have about 20 years in the construction administration and management sector before I came to this career. So I worked on projects all the way from Maine to the Caribbean, and in a whole variety of mostly large civil projects. And so that was my foundational work. Out of a sense of calling, I left that career in the mid-90s and started off in a graduate studies career. And so I studied divinity, starting at Candler School of Theology, and then the Baptist Seminary in Richmond. I have a Master of Social Work degree and a graduate degree in nonprofit management. That's a little bit about my career development. For the past 12 years, I've served nonprofit organizations as an executive director or chief executive officer.
So right now we're in this pandemic of coronavirus, and I'm always interested to see how that's impacting the programs and the missions and the ministries around us. How have you seen that impact the work you're doing at Brisben?
Oh my, to say that in a few brief words, everything has changed. everything has changed. So, first of all, I'll say that we had to rewrite some policies and procedures and redevelop the way that we function as an organization focused on safety. I want to say this about the folks in the shelter. Because of their goings and comings, we had to limit those for safe social distancing. We took about half the population of the shelter and placed them at Brisben cost, and that's quite a cost, in a hotel for further safe social distancing. Those folks who were in the hotel were predominantly those folks that were wanting to continue working and going and coming. So we thought it was the most prudent thing to do to place them there. We also took the folks that were in the shelter, which are the most health compromised, and moved them apart a bit, so distancing those folks to help create less spread of the potential virus. So that's those are a couple of ways we've done that. We've also temporarily stopped taking new intakes to the shelter. We want to process folks through the hotel system. We're working with the hospital and testing system to do additional testing of folks to ensure that folks that we do allow back into the shelter are COVID negative. Masks, gloves, cleaning every 2 hours, hand washing, all of those protocols we're in the midst of currently.
Kind of speaking of homelessness as a whole, how do you think the coronavirus is impacting those who are homeless during this time?
Adam, I'm first of all, I'm concerned about the limited access to supportive services. You name it, everything from physical care, health care, shelter, transportation, food, limitations of income and employment. And what I see in the faces and voices of the people that we serve, I hear uncertainty, anxiety, depression, anger, and so a lot of challenges. And I'll say more about this in a moment too. I'm gravely concerned about the impact, the economic impact that COVID-19 will have on our entire society and what that's going to do to our homeless population. I see it increasing exponentially.
So what are some of the difficulties that you face in your work, not just with the coronavirus, but as a whole with the work that you do there at Brisben?
Sure. Well, I'll say first of all, I'll mention a number. The center takes $2,887 every single day of the year to operate effectively. And so raising those funds, particularly given that 38% of those come from government, the rest we have to fundraise, being effective in that is a huge challenge. It's also a challenge. I've done the research over the number of years the shelter has been in business. I'll say for the past 10 years, we've served close to 7,000 individuals. And the challenge is that about 44 to 50% of those folks return to the shelter at some point within a 3-year period. So what that's saying to me is either there are challenges individually or challenges systemically in our community that can be improved so that we don't keep spending 44 to 50% of our resources in continuing to rehouse folks. I'll also say, and this is an important part as well, the public policy called Housing First, which is a subsidized housing approach, we have found that many of those folks keep returning to the shelter. So, but that is the public policy approach to solving homelessness in the community. And so while it may work to temporarily subsidize folks in housing, long term, if they don't have sufficient livable wage income in the right supportive networks, they're going to return to the shelter. And we see evidence in that currently.
Could you share a testimony or maybe a story that our viewers would find encouraging about the work that you're doing there?
Thank you for that opportunity. I'd love to. So I think about a woman who entered the shelter quite some months ago, and she sheltered there for about 6 months. When she came in, I met with her, and she was just downcast. She had mental health challenges and just didn't seem to have much hope. In fact, I think she said at one point, "I've just given up hope on a better life." Well, we connected her with our mobility mentoring program. And our mobility mentoring program is quite new. I brought that to the shelter a little over a year ago. And so we connected her with a great mobility coach. And her coach worked with her to develop a results-based plan. And the results-based plan, ultimately, and this was the plan that originated with the woman, she basically has turned her life around. She's connected with the doctor. She's been able to manage her medications more effectively. She's now employed. She now has a driver's license. And so literally she has turned hopelessness into hopefulness. And so we've seen her self-esteem, we've seen her whole countenance change. And so that's a beautiful testimony to the work that we can do. And I'll say also, there are some others in the organization I won't mention for the sake of time, but everything from shelter dweller to pastor, from homeless to small business owner, from unemployed to insurance salesperson. So we do see those success stories. It takes support, it takes commitment.